Hey everyone, it's Dave, and I'm back with another commentary over the He-Man painting. The last video, I started the sketch, and here I'm starting to kind of refine things a little bit. Some of the edge work was really bothering me, so I wanted to start off by getting the sword of power a little bit more accurate. And you see here I'm using the pen tool to kind of create a shape for the sword, and even though like I go through this process and getting the edges more cleaned up and the sword more defined, I actually end up deciding that the angle and everything doesn't quite make a lot of sense, so there will actually be some more adjustments. So if you're ever working on a piece and you pour a lot of effort into getting something done a certain way, don't be afraid to always go back and make it better, even if it negates previous efforts. It's always worth it. And so here I've got it gated off pretty well, and kind of cleaning up the area around it. I like to go back and forth between my selections so that way I have a clean edge. So like the arm and the chest bracer and all that kind of stuff in the hand, I'll use the selected off area and I'll invert the selection so that way I can get painted up and underneath, so the stroke is continuous. So like one of the problems I used to have is that I'd always try to paint up into the edges, and then you'd get these little short strokes, and they always kind of like look bad because they're obviously getting shorter as they come to a hard edge like that. So if you selection off your work area that you don't want to have painted on, then you can continue with larger strokes and it looks more natural. You'll see several times throughout this painting, I have a magic effect layer that I made, and it gets turned on and off at several points throughout the whole thing. I'm having a little bit of a discussion with chat at this point here. So these are all on my live stream on Twitch, so sometimes we get a little bit of a discussion about different things, and so you'll watch me kind of get a little more animated when people start talking about stuff. I might be even telling a story here. It's very likely that I'm kind of just going off. So yeah, so join us on Twitch for that fun stuff. That's always great. And here I am kind of cleaning up the edge. You got to remember also that like a sword like this is not flat, so I had to keep reminding myself to create that dimension where the edge is there. And here I'm going for the pommel. It was really bothering me at this point that the pommel was so plain. I didn't want it to be really elaborate because, again, Prince Adam has to conceal having this this sword on his back, and so it couldn't be too fancy, otherwise it would kind of give away his whole thing. And so here I am sort of trying to get those edges a little bit cleaner, and then this is actually the point where I realized that the sword doesn't quite make sense the way that it's angled, and I'm desperately trying to kind of like make this look more like, you know, it fits within the space that it's at, and it needs to look more like it's slightly pointed, like the pommel's slightly pointed towards us, and before it was very flat, and so that was wrong. So I'm fixing this mistake. It was quite an oversight, and I was like, oh gosh, that does not look good. I mean, granted, a lot of it's going to get covered up by a magical effect, but it's one of those things that if you get those little details right, or at least get them pretty good, even if you're covering it up, I think that it adds, there's like the uncanny valley, the effect that if you have it wrong, people will sometimes get that sense that there's something not right, even though they may not be able to put their finger on it. So I think it holds value. If it can be seen at all, it's worth getting done right. Here I am shading up the legs. Even though I'm having this magical effect of brilliant light on there, I still want to keep the most contrast up towards the top. And so I'm really trying my best to manage the contrasts. Because while like in reality there probably would be a little bit more evenness in the light, this is still a work of art, and it still needs to, not that I'm trying to over compliment my own work, but it still needs to have the basic tenets of entertainment, and lead the eye somewhere, and have the drama and tell the story and all that kind of good stuff. And here I am probably telling another story, speaking of which. You'll notice I never can talk without my hands, which slows me down a ton when I'm working. Yeah, so get back to work, Dave. And it's around this point that I'm starting to feel a little bit more confident about the piece. I like the gesture and the pose, and the overall look and feel is what I wanted. I wanted to look a little bit more like Conan and a little less like the purple cartoon He-Man. So I'm kind of getting my way with it. So that's probably why I'm feeling more confident breaking into a long monologue. It's because I'm feeling a little happy about this. The face is still largely like not complete. So I spent a long time working independently off a stream on the face because I felt like I had a lot of trouble with the angle of the chin and the teeth and the brow and eyes, just basically the whole thing. The angle of the nose is off, and there was just a lot of problems that I had with it, so I worked on it a little bit independently. So do visit my website, dave-holland-art.com, to see the final piece. Patrons in the month of December in 2021, when this will go out, if you're part of the Patreon in any of the Token of the Month Club, you'll actually get a copy of this as a card, with the reverse side being a Prince Adam card. And so there will probably be a video on the Prince Adam works in the future, hopefully, if I can keep my act together. Here I am trying to get the bracers to look better. It bothered me a lot, the angle of the bracers and how they worked in perspective. So it took me a lot of work to like get these feeling more like they were not destroying the little bit of foreshortening that was happening in the forearm. It was important for me to get those. Oh, here I'm showing off some of the tokens. It was important for me to have those bracers look, cylindrical and round and not floppy. So here I'm fixing the other one because it was bothering the heck out of me. I remember that. It was bothering me because the bracers just weren't feeling like something that somebody would manufacture. And as much as I wanted them to like shine like a diamond, I knew that they couldn't be quite as like overly bright. They needed to be bright and they needed to shine, but I had to be a little bit more cautious. And that's one of the things I'm trying to do in my work, is I'm trying to be a little more cautious with the values. If you look at a lot of my older work, and honestly not too long ago, the value structures I have tend to go very bombastic. So I have like these crazy brights and crazy darks, which is quite sensational, but it just doesn't look good. It doesn't draw the eye in where it needs to. It's not very coy. It's not playing with the emotion so much as it's just like slamming you with these crazy loud values. And so I'm trying my best to learn to play with subtlety a little bit more, and it's difficult. On this piece here, I had a lot of fun with the skin tone just because I was able to really kind of crank the red tones in the flesh and, make it feel more robust and not have to necessarily do that by like popping humongous values to make the muscles ignite off of the body form. In this case here, I wanted everything to feel strong and tight and well put together. And so, yeah. Oh, here I'm putting the red cross symbol on there. If you pay attention carefully, like the one criticism I have about this is that it would mean that chest piece that he has on, probably that red cross goes right to the bottom edge of it. So I think I could have made that cross a little bit smaller, but I really liked it being big and red, and I liked it playing off of the angle and the edge of the sword. So I don't think it's that big of a problem for me to just have to say, look, it does. It goes right to the bottom of the chest piece. Because I really like the placement of it. You can tell when I start to get a little bit tired on working with a piece just because of like how much like noodling and fiddling I do with the little values here and there. It feels really good to do those, but I know I'm not getting a tremendous amount of value out of that. It's something I probably should have gotten done earlier, and that's what I'm doing right now. Is I'm just kind of like fiddling to cover some time while I'm streaming and get myself excited. And then once I've let my eyes kind of rest a little bit, then I'm like, oh yeah, the hand. We got to get to the hand. Or we got to get to this piece. We got to do that. It just kind of gets me back in line while I'm not stopping working. Just kind of let the brain wander a bit. You can see I'm particularly chatty tonight with Twitch. And again, the flesh pattern or flesh tones are all the Zorn palette. So I'm using I used an overlay layer to start with, I believe, if it was overlay or color layer. And then I used the Zorn palette to start it off, and then I'm using just a regular normal layer. It's all, for the most part, it's pretty much all in one layer with the exception of the background and the magic effect. So you'll see it pop in here and there, the little magic blue effect. And that's a layer. The background is one layer, and then He-Man himself is another layer. So you see there's my Zorn palette, and I'm just kind of going through and I'm picking out colors that will help. See, there's the magic layer. That'll kind of help make that look right. So here I'm using some adjustment layers, like the curves, and then the color. Doing a little bit of color correction. These are important to me because I think they help kind of make up for where I goofed or didn't get the colors just right. And there you go. See, there's the magic layer. And here we go. Yeah, this is the part that I think is fun. And I'll do a video on how to do these magic effects soon so that you can do them yourself. But they're really, really easy, and it's really, really fun. So be on the lookout for that video. I may do it as a short because it's that simple. And so I've got these different like spheres of, like balls of lightning and stuff like that, and different like little crackles of like streaking lightning, and then like the spark effects. And this is just me playing and having a good time. I really enjoy this part. This part just feels good. And there I am adding a little bit of that blue light to different surfaces. And we're almost done with the piece here, but it's certainly not the final product. So do look for it on my website and in my social media. The links will be in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate everyone watching. So Take care. Have a good one. And I'll see you guys in the next. Bye.